Is all of the history that we're taught a lie? Were ancient civilizations far more advanced than we give them credit for? Never mind the pyramids. How was this built? Is this the Statue of Liberty? And what is it doing in this old book? Is this cathedral actually a power plant that's been repurposed as a temple of God? Why are the windows shaped like this? Did we simply adopt our greatest feats of architectural achievement from an ancient civilization destroyed by mud floods? Are we next in line for a cataclysmic event? And what can these declassified CIA documents unveil about the truth of our past? We have a lot to go through on this thesis, so I will be including pictures of ancient architecture relevant to what I'm discussing, and they will be timestamped in the upper left-hand corner. The more you watch, the stranger it gets. The Tartarian theory claims that evidence of past civilizations are erased to keep us from knowing about advanced technologies that could lead to free energy. The powers that be use natural energy resources in order to maintain control of us, making us dependent on them, solely on them. But before we get into the cataclysms that keep resetting our society, let's first talk about the World's Fair. One of the biggest proofs behind the Tartarian conspiracy is called the World's Fair. The Palace of Fine Arts and its accompanying 500-foot marble towers were built for the Panama Pacific International Exposition in San Francisco in 1915. However, the buildings were heavily weathered and covered in moss and vine. This suggested that they were much older than the official claim. The buildings were later demolished when the fair was over. Only one of these magnificent domes still remains, and it's over 100 years old, making it clear that it was not a temporary structure. If this is correct, it seems that most, if not all, the world's fairs played their part in concealing our true past. According to the Tartarian Reset Theory, the 1893 Chicago's World's Fair was used as an excuse to demolish many beautiful and iconic buildings, leaving behind an architectural legacy that is still seen today. The last example that I'm going to speak about in this video is the St. Louis World Fair in 1904. You can still find pieces of this World Fair buried in the dirt, and the Grand Basin is still there today. The building labeled as Fine Arts is now the St. Louis Art Museum. It's interesting that there are so many temples at the World's Fair, reflecting the popularity of theosophy and spiritualism into the 20th century. Most of these buildings don't exist anymore. The excuse was always that these buildings were only temporary, so they'll be demolished when the fair is over, which is pretty strange seeing how amazing they were. These buildings must have taken a lot of work to build. So what is Tartaria? Tartaria was a powerful country in the past, which is mostly unknown today due to its history being at odds with the official version of history that we're given. It is referenced in many texts and maps from back then. The lost civilization of Tartaria was erased less than 140 years ago, likely due to them having access to free energy, something that the powers that be probably don't want us to have. Destruction of the Chicago and San Francisco's World's Fair was most likely to cover up the technology. Most of the fires around 1890s were controlled demolitions to erase and rewrite history, according to the Tartarian Reset Theory. Here's a fun question. When was the first light bulb invented? According to the official narrative, the first constant electric light was demonstrated in 1835, and since then, scientists have been working on improving the filament and the bulb's atmosphere to make it more efficient and long-lasting. Thomas Edison patented the incandescent light bulb in 1879 and commercialized it, which led to the light bulbs that we use today. However, there seems to be depictions of light being used well before this time. Around the world, amazing feats of architectural engineering are found from times preceding the 1800s. In Russia, in Europe, and even in the United States. According to the narrative, the United States was officially established in 1776. However, some of the architecture in the United States seems weirdly complicated for those who just established a nation. If we're asking for evidence of a cataclysmic event that wiped out society, wouldn't this be it? Here are some more examples of a lost history that is shown through us, through architecture. Three of the most important and famous power structures in history, the White House in DC, the Versailles Castle in France, and the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, are aligned in an exact straight line. A pyramid discovered in Nice, South France, estimated to be 4,000 years old, was destroyed in the 1970s. It is well documented in pictures and text from before then, making it impossible to verify the official history.
The Hypogeum in Malta is an ancient underground complex estimated to be at least 5,000 years old. When it was discovered, 7,000 skeletons were found inside, which were humanoid but had significant differences with humans as we know them now. All these skeletons disappeared mysteriously, except a handful, which were placed in the Museum of Malta and well documented, and then disappeared from the museum in 1980. The Khaleesi's temple in India was carved out of rock and is estimated to have used 200,000 tons of stone, but how it was done is still a mystery.
An ancient rock quarry in Crimea shows rock cutting techniques that are much more advanced than our modern techniques. The Tartarian Reset Theory says it's not aliens, it's just humans. If we go on a purely Darwinian basis, humans have been the way we are now for 315,000 years. We've recently only discovered electrical technology within the past 200 years. I mean, just think about how much we advanced in 100 years, 200 years. It's a little strange if you think about it. What were we doing for the past 315,000 years? Did it really take us that long to get to where we are now? Which leads us to the question, are cathedrals actually power plants repurposed as temples of God? And why are the windows shaped the way they are? According to the Tartarian Reset Theory, many of the accidental discoveries of electricity are not accidental, but rather stories made up to explain a found or stolen technology. There are references and myths from all around the world talking about ether technology. According to the theory, the Church of Rome is a corporation created by the Phoenicians, who forged most of our history. The real Romans were an advanced culture before the cataclysm and parasitic takeover by the Phoenicians, which allowed the Phoenician church to take control. One of the examples of this technology is called the fasces. The fasces was an electromagnetic weapon used by the royals to take over. It was a bundle of rods with an axe, and was carried by lictors, the bodyguards of ancient Rome, as a symbol of power and government. According to the Tartarian theory, the magnetic ether was much more powerful in the past, and this led to cataclysmic events. Anti-gravity devices were developed to access built-up energy, and the ether and free energy devices were designed to collect and build up these energies. According to the theory, magic was also way more possible as our thought permeated the ether. The Church of Ayesa took over about 100 years ago, and they possess advanced technologies such as ether lighting systems, aircraft systems using blimps, and other flying vehicles. They also had free energy that was given wirelessly through different buildings and generators. The churches generated power and energy using torsion fields, symmetry, and acoustics. This absorbed energy from the ether. The power could be used for everyday applications like gliding, heating, and powering steam.
This picture, commonly referred to as the Phoenician Statue of Liberty, is equipped with a vara. The vara is a legendary ritual weapon symbolizing the properties of a diamond and a thunderbolt. It's used as a symbol of power in Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. It is believed to be one of the most powerful weapons in the universe.
In the 1920s, most Tartar leaders and intellectuals who wanted independence were eliminated through execution or exile, and this policy continued to the 1950s. In 1999, a CIA document was released which suggests that the Soviet government had attempted to erase aspects of Tartar history from the official record in order to suit their own agenda. In 1944, the Communist Party issued a directive to revise Tartar history in order to eliminate references to Great Russian aggressions and to hide the facts of the real course of the Tartar-Russian relations. Histories which present the facts truthfully have been withdrawn and destroyed, so that present and future generation of Muslims are denied the chance to learn the true facts of their nation's past. So this leads us to the question, what caused the destruction of all these civilizations? These are the Adam and Eve CIA documents, the Great Floods, mud floods. The common thread between Noah, Adam and Eve, Vishnu, and Osiris is that they all represented different eras of time. Scientists like J. Andre Deleuze, George Curver, Escher, Farrell, and von Busch all agreed that the Earth's surface had been subject to sudden cataclysmic revolutions. Curver's theory of the Earth, 1788, argues that the surface of the Earth had undergone sudden and catastrophic changes, which had caused the continents to be submerged in the sea multiple times, only in the past few thousand years. He proposed that the cause of these changes must be discovered in order to understand the alterations in geology. According to the documents, ice ages are caused by the Earth's inner core releasing neutral matter into the outer core, resulting in an atomic-like explosion that disrupts the electrical and magnetic structures in the molten outer core. This disruption allows the ice caps to pull the shell of the Earth around the interior, with the shallow molten layer lubricating the shift. Changes between positions take place in a fraction of a day. An unprecedented earthquake triggers a massive wave of wind and ocean that destroys all civilization in a matter of hours. Millions of people are killed, with barely a stone left where the cities once stood. A few lucky ones manage to escape, but they have to start all over from scratch. The data correlation suggests that the last Earth tumble occurred 6,500 years ago, which could be the origin of the Adam and Eve story. It is theorized that Moses was the originator of the story, as he was raised in the Egyptian tradition and had access to ancient languages. Noah, Adam and Eve, Vishnu, Osiris, what do they all have in common? They represent eras, ages apart, and yet, somehow, they all join hands in the next cataclysm and walk with us. A quote directly from the Adam and Eve declassified CIA document. I've included a link to the Adam and Eve document in the description below. It is a lot, but it is a super interesting read. Later research would explore the role of Naga and ancient Mayans into the story. This is because there is usage of tree, fruit, serpent, cherubim, and other words which were glyphs in picture language of prehistory. It is evident that the creation and Adam and Eve stories were probably originally written in the glyphs of the Naga, the predominant Eastern Hemisphere language of 5,000 years ago. In the direct translation from Naga to English, the story of Genesis goes as follows. Please keep in mind that this is only a summary. I will leave the full Adam and Eve document in the description below. The direct translation is summarized as follows. God created the universe 4.5 billion years ago, and 11,500 years ago, a great storm caused the Earth's lands to be inundated with water. As the storm abated, sunlight returned, restoring day and night and the sky between the clouds and oceans. This was the beginning of the second day. On the seventh day, after the cataclysm, God restored the heavens and earth, bringing peace and allowing humanity to start anew. He also established a continent eastward, in which the man of the story lived in Eden. This was the beginning of the civilization that grew on other lands, with the motherland in the midst of them all. And so that's the Tartarian theory. Basically, thousands of years in between, there is a cataclysm, and that cataclysm resets our civilization. When that civilization is reset, there are people who take advantage of the fact that the civilization has collapsed. And while we're vulnerable, they establish their own governments and rules. Like a frog boiling in a pot, slowly over time, they erase our histories. They erase all knowledge of free energy, hook us on natural resources such as fossil fuels, and use the fact that we need these fossil fuels to enslave us, so we're always dependent on their system. This is one of my absolute favorite rabbit holes to go down, but it is also the deepest rabbit hole that you could possibly go down. My absolute favorite YouTuber to watch on this subject is Unveiled, and I would recommend them 1,000,000% over. They do an excellent job at covering all of this. This is one of those rabbit holes where like it's fun. Also, it's very you might have an existential crisis after a little bit, but that's okay. Don't worry about that. Anyway, I appreciate you watching my video. If you are interested in this sort of stuff, I would highly recommend that you subscribe to my channel. This is only my third video, but if you want to see more of the content that I make before deciding to subscribe, I'd highly recommend my Reptilian Prison Planet video. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. My links are here if you're interested. Okay, have a good night. Bye.